My daughter didn't just suggest I needed more help. She filmed me struggling with my physical therapy exercises and used the videos to petition a judge for emergency guardianship, claiming I was a danger to myself. I spent 40 years teaching high school chemistry, drilling into teenagers that evidence is everything. That observable facts trump emotional appeals. I never imagined I'd need to use the scientific method to prove my own daughter was a liar and a thief. The first I knew of it was when a woman named Brenda, all brisk efficiency and synthetic smiles, appeared in my living room, informing me she was my new, court-appointed aide. Behind her stood Anya, her face a masterpiece of concerned contrition. "Mother, you're not thinking clearly," Anya said, her voice slick with faux sympathy. "You left the stove on twice last week. You were confused about your medications." The judge saw the videos. "This is for your own safety." "The videos you took without my knowledge?" I asked, my voice steady as a titration curve, despite the fury bubbling inside me. "Of me in pain after major surgery?" "That's when the truth comes out," she said, her eyes gleaming with a triumph she couldn't hide. "When you're too weak to keep up the facade." I was a prisoner in a cage of her making. My credit cards were gone. My checkbook was locked away. Brenda watched me like a hawk, her presence a constant, smothering blanket. My one moment of freedom came with the weekly grocery delivery. As the young man placed the bags on the counter, I scribbled on the back of a receipt with a shaking hand, palming it like a convict. Miles. 211 Maple. Emergency. Anya. Mr. Miles, my retired attorney neighbor, was at my door that evening, posing as a concerned friend bearing casserole. He listened, his sharp, legal mind already working behind his kind eyes. "She filmed you without consent?" "And got an emergency guardianship," he murmured, once Brenda was out of earshot. "That's not just aggressive, Lena, that's likely illegal. It reeks of premeditation." He came back 2 days later, a thin, cold file in his hand. We sat in my sunroom, the cheerful light a mockery of the conversation. "I have a friend at the courthouse," he said, his voice low and hard. "I subpoenaed her financials. The day after the guardianship was granted, she paid off $80,000 in credit card debt. This wasn't about your safety. It was a withdrawal." He looked at me, his gaze steady. "We're going to court. And we're going to win." The counterattack began. I played my part perfectly. The confused, compliant patient, slowly getting better under Brenda's watchful eye. At the court-ordered psychiatric evaluation, I was the picture of lucid, methodical Dr. Petrova, discussing stoichiometry and the Heisenberg principle with a clarity that left the doctor scribbling notes of profound confusion. Meanwhile, Miles filed an emergency motion to vacate the guardianship, presenting the unedited video footage from my home security system, which Anya, in her haste, had forgotten I had, showing the true context of my struggles. He laid out the damning financial paper trail, a map of my daughter's greed. The walls were closing in on her, and a cornered animal is at its most dangerous. She came to the house after the judge temporarily suspended her powers, her face stripped of its false concern, raw with panic and venom. "You think you've won?" she hissed, her voice low so Brenda wouldn't hear. "I have something you care about more than money. Dad's reputation." I went still. "I found the drafts," she said, her eyes glittering. "The ones that prove he plagiarized his seminal paper on polymer chemistry from that German researcher. I have them. I will go to the press, to the university. I will burn his legacy to the ground, and yours with it. His brilliant widow, complicit in the lie. Unless you call off Miles. Unless you tell the judge you made a mistake." The blow was visceral, striking at the memory of the man I had loved, the foundation of our family's pride. For a moment, the world swam. But then, the training of a lifetime reasserted itself. "Evidence. Facts. Show me," I said, my voice dangerously quiet. She faltered. "What?" "Show me the drafts. If you have them, show me now." She blustered, but the demand for physical proof, the core tenet of my life, had thrown her. She left, promising ruin. As soon as the door closed, I was moving, the pain in my knee a distant annoyance. In the attic, buried in a trunk of his old things, were my husband's research notebooks. Dozens of them, filled with his cramped, precise handwriting. Miles helped me carry them down, and we spent the night, two old colleagues amidst a sea of paper and memory. And there it was. Not evidence of plagiarism, but of the truth I had buried to protect him. The decade-long development of his ideas, the dead ends, the breakthroughs. And a copy of the private legal agreement with his disgruntled colleague, who had tried to steal the research and publish it first. The plagiarized paper was, in fact, my husband's own work, vindicated in a closed-door settlement. Anya's evidence was a forgery, a desperate gambit based on a half-remembered family secret she'd twisted into a weapon. She had chosen the one battlefield where I was an undisputed master, the realm of documented truth. I didn't wait for her next move. I authored my first and only blog post. I laid out the entire case with the dispassionate clarity of a research paper. The edited videos, the stolen funds, the blackmail attempt, and finally, the full story of my husband's stolen work, complete with photos of the notebooks and the legal agreement. I preemptively exposed her lie and cleared his name, once and for all, for the whole world to see. The final victory was swift and silent. The court terminated the guardianship permanently. Anya was charged with elder abuse, fraud, and forgery. Restitution was ordered. I changed all my passwords. My assets are now secured in a trust managed by the steadfast Mr. Miles. My daughter no longer exists to me. She thought my logic was a cold, hard wall, something to break herself against. She never understood it was a fortress, built brick by brick over a lifetime, impervious to her lies. To anyone facing a betrayal disguised as concern, trust your own mind. It is the most reliable evidence you have. The silence she left behind was a physical presence. It wasn't the peaceful quiet I had cultivated in my retirement, but a heavy, accusatory hush. For a few days, I moved through the rooms of my house like a ghost, the echo of her words, "I will burn his legacy to the ground," still ringing in my ears. Brenda was gone, but the sensation of being watched remained. Mr. Miles, bless him, understood the topography of this new, emotional battlefield. He didn't bring casseroles. He brought paperwork and purpose. "The criminal case is proceeding," he said, laying a fresh file on my kitchen table. It was thicker now. "But the civil suit is where we secure your future. Full restitution, plus punitive damages. We're not just getting your money back, Lena. We're making a point." I nodded, my gaze drifting to the window. "The point has been made, I think." "Not yet," he said gently. "There's one more account to settle." He was referring to the digital world, the curated kingdom where Anya had built her throne. Her lifestyle blog, Anya's Authentic Life, was still live. The banner photo showed her laughing, a mug of something steaming in her hands, surrounded by tasteful rustic decor. It was a monument to the lie she had lived. Comments on her most recent post, a vague piece about navigating family challenges with grace, were a mix of supportive fans and a growing undercurrent of questions. A few sharp-eyed followers had connected the dots between my blog post and Anya's sudden silence. The seeds of doubt were sown, but the field was still hers. "I want it gone," I said, my voice flat. "I don't want her to have that platform. Not after what she tried to do." Miles steepled his fingers. "We can't force her to take it down. But we can make it untenable for her to maintain." My scientific mind, still my greatest weapon, began to work. Anya's entire brand was built on a fragile equilibrium of perception and reality. She had used edited footage to destroy me. I would use unvarnished truth to dismantle her. "Give me a week," I said. I became a student of a world I despised. I created an anonymous social media account and immersed myself in the culture of influencers. I learned about brand partnerships, affiliate links, and the holy grail, the media kit. I studied the terms of service for her blogging platform, the fine print about deceptive practices and community standards. My revenge would not be a shout, but a correction. A peer-reviewed takedown. I compiled a new document. Not an emotional blog post, but a forensic report. I listed every brand that had sponsored content on her site during the period she was my court-appointed guardian, the period she was legally obligated to act in my best interests while secretly draining my accounts. I included screenshots of her promotional posts next to bank statements showing the transfers from my investment portfolio to her credit card companies. I highlighted the specific clauses in her sponsorship contracts about maintaining a positive and trustworthy public reputation. Then I wrote a single, concise email. To whom it may concern. Attached, please find documented evidence that Anya Petrova engaged in felony financial elder abuse and fraud while under contract with your brand. This represents a severe breach of the moral turpitude and reputational damage clauses standard in influencer agreements. The evidence has been filed under seal in the attached civil case docket number. Sincerely, a concerned party. I sent it to every single brand contact I could find. I did not send it in anger. I sent it as a fact. A data point. An observable phenomenon. The collapse was swift and merciless. Within 48 hours, the sponsored posts on her blog began to disappear. The affiliate links were deactivated. Her social media feeds, once a torrent of curated perfection, fell silent. Her authentic life was being stripped for parts by the very corporations that had built it. The final blow came from the platform itself. A notice appeared where her blog used to be. This site has been removed for violations of our terms of service. Her kingdom was a 404 error. Weeks later, a formal offer arrived. Through her lawyer, Anya agreed to a full and immediate financial settlement, far exceeding the stolen amount, to avoid a public civil trial. The condition was my silence on the specifics of the deal. I agreed. I had said everything I needed to say. The day the funds cleared, Mr. Miles and I sat in my sunroom, the same one where we had first plotted our defense. The light was genuinely cheerful now. It's over, he said, raising a cup of tea. I clinked my cup against his. A reaction is complete, I said, a small, weary smile touching my lips. All reactants have been consumed. The products are silence and security. He laughed. I'll never not think of you as my favorite chemist. I looked out at my garden, at the tidy rows of herbs and the steady, reliable oak tree. The betrayal had been a catastrophic failure, an explosion that shattered the vessel of our family. But I had collected the pieces, analyzed them, and used the fundamental laws of truth and consequence to catalyze a new state of being. A stable one. A peaceful one. She thought my logic was a cold, hard wall. She didn't understand it was a fortress. And now, from within its quiet, unassailable walls, I was finally, truly free.